tutorial, I am going to show you how to create a master details page and login page with user authentication, and how to do the data editing using the grid view. Let's create a new website. So go to File, New Website, and it's going to be a empty website, Visual C#, and give a name for the website and press OK. So we have a empty website here. Now let me add the database and table adapters. So we have already created the database and table adapters in the last project. So let me use those in this project. To copy the database and the data table adapters from the previous projects, open the project in the File Explorer, and I have the files in my desktop. So it's under DB resource. Let me extract this. You can download this DB resource from the BBlearn. I have two folders. One is app data, another one is app code. App data is the database with the data, and app code is the table adapters. Let me copy this to my project folder, and I have another file, logo.png, which is going to be the logo of our site. So we have copied the app data, app code, and logo to our project. Now let's open the Visual Studio and right click on the website and click on the refresh folder. You should be able to see all the files that we have added just now. So let's open the data. We have the e-company that we created in the last project, and if you go back and check, we have the tables for department and employees. So if we right click and show the data, it should show the data that we created in the last project. Now what we are going to do is create a website which will have a login screen, a default home screen, and a web page to edit the user details, those who have logged in. So it's going to be common template for all the pages. So I don't want to create the templates again and again in each page. I want to create one template, and I'm going to create the pages from this template. So to do this, we can create the master page. So to add a master page for your project, right click on the website, add new item, and from this list, instead of choosing the web form, I'm going to choose the master page. So master page will be acting like a template for your web pages. So we can change the name or just leave the name. So if you see that this is masterpage.master, not ASPX file. So let me add this to my project, and we have this default master page. And if you go back to your design, so this is what we have in our page. Now I don't want the content placeholder here. Let me delete it. I will add it later and make a custom content controls in each page that we are going to create. So let me save this one and go back to the design. I want to add the logo, so let me add the logo. So it asks for the, just drag and drop the logo inside your page, and you can give them alternative text, press OK. I'm going to add a horizontal ruler. So to add the horizontal ruler, it would be under the HTML element, and you can see the horizontal ruler there, and drag and drop it. So this will create a horizontal ruler, and below the horizontal ruler I want the navigation menu. So I'm going to have three options. One is home, other one is the login, and the third option is edit. So the navigation could be in the standard controls. From the standard controls you see the hyperlink. Just drag the hyperlink. I want three hyperlinks, so add 1, 2 and 3 hyperlinks. Now we go and modify the properties of each of these hyperlinks. So I'm going to set two properties. One is the ID of the link. So the first one would be home, so I call it as hyperlink home, and the text I'm going to change it as home. The second hyperlink we're going to call it as HL login, and text we are going to make it as login, and the last one I'm going to call it as hyperlink edit, and the text I'm going to call it as edit. This is to edit the user detail. Now this is the template that I'm going to have for all my pages. I want to create web pages for home screen. Let me save this one. I want to create the website for web pages for home screen, login screen and the edit screen. So to create the template, to create a web page with the same template of the master, right click on the master and choose add content page. So this will create a content page, and you can see it has created a content page called default.aspx. If you go back to the design of this page, you will see exactly what you have done in your master page, but we cannot add any content inside this because we don't have a content placeholder. So let me go back to master page and add a content placeholder. To add the content placeholder, it's under the standard control. Drag and drop a content placeholder, save the file. Now let's go back to the default. You should see the content placeholder. So to modify the content placeholder, click on the smart tag and choose create custom content. So this will be our home page, and I'm going to enter a text welcome guest. Let me save this one. Again I want to create another two more pages. Right click on the master page and add a content page. So if you go back to the design, you should be able to see the content placeholder. Before I do any changes, you see the name of this page is default2.aspx. I want to rename this as, right click this and rename default2 as login.aspx, and click on the smart tag. It's already a custom control, so let's add some text box where the user can enter the username and password. So this is for username, and another text box where the user can enter the password, and I'm going to have a label which will display error message if the user is not successfully logged in. And before this, I'm going to have a button where the user will click after entering the username and password. Let us go and fix the properties of this controls. On the username, I'm going to change the ID of this text box into txt user, and the password I'm going to call it as txt pwd password, And the password, I don't want it to be visible to the user when they type, so change the text mode of the password to password field. This is password. And for the button, I'm going to change the ID of the button as btn login, button login, and the text we'll change it to login. For the label, that's going to show the error message, we'll call it as lbl err message, error message, and I don't want any text at the initial part. Remove the text, and that's how our login page should look like. Let me add one more page. Add a content page. This is your placeholder, and this is for edit. So rename the page, change the default to as edit. I'm going to call it as edit user. Let's go and place the controls later. For now, we'll just leave it blank. Let me save the files, and let us go to the master page. I want to link this URL with the appropriate pages. So click on the home. When the user click on the home link, it should link to the default.aspx. You see there is a navigation URL, and when you click the ellipse here, you can see all the pages that you have created. So when the user click the home, it should connect to default.aspx, and click on the login. This is going to navigate to login.aspx, and edit is going to navigate to edituser.aspx. So we have connected all the three pages. Let me save this one, and let's just try to run the site. So when I run this site, this is our home page, default.aspx. You can see the home page and welcome guest, and when you click on the login, you can see the username, password, and login. Nothing is going to happen because we have not done any coding yet. And on the edit page, we don't have anything. And if you noticed, the template of these pages is same for all the three pages. So for this is a default.aspx, and when you click on the login, it's login.aspx, but still it has the logo, horizontal bar, navigation. Only thing it changes the content of the page. So this will be easier. You no need to do the design again and again in each page. You do it in the master page and create the content page that is reflecting the master template. Now let's write the code for login. Before we write the code for login, let us create a table that will store the login information. Right click on the table. I'm going to add a new table. And this table, I'm going to call it as login table. I'm going to have an ID, then username, which will be a varchar50, and I'm going to have password, which is also varchar50, and I will change the name of the table as login updated, and click on the update database. So this will create our table. Let's close this one and refresh this. We'll see the login, and let's open the data. So for the user 1, I'm going to call it Ali 2000, and password is 1234. User 2 is Sale 2020, password is 4321, and user 3 is Andy 100, 1122. Let's refresh this page and close it. Now let's create a table adapters for this new table login. So to create the table adapter, we open the data set which we already created, table adapters for the department table and the employee table in last project. Now let me right click and add a new table adapter. I'm going to call the same DB, same connection string, and this is going to be a SQL statement. And on the query builder, this is for login. Close it. And I want all the ID, username and password to be opened. And if I execute this, I can see all the rows in the table has been retrieved. So 1, 2 and 3. But I don't want all the rows to be retrieved. I want only the row where the user gives a username. For example, if the username is Ali 2000, I want only the details of Ali 2000. I don't want the rest. So I want to make a filter on the username. To make the filter, we can use the command constraint where username equal to the parameter, or from the query builder you can simply use the filter column and click on the column that you want to filter. So here I want to filter on the username, so click here and amp at user. So the at user means this is the parameter I'm going to pass for this. So you can see it has written the query where username equal to at user. Now let's execute the query. So if you notice, it asks for the parameter, query parameter. Let me give Ali 2000 and press OK. And if you notice, it returns us only one row, unlike the last. It just returned the first row, which is matching the Ali 2000. Let me give Andy 100, and once it executes the query, you should see only one row for Andy 100. And let's say I give something which is not there, Andy 200. So when it doesn't have anything, it doesn't return any rows, all are empty. And other thing you can notice is on the table you can see there is a small icon to show that this is the filtering column, and press OK. Next, I don't want to fill a table as usual, and it's going to return the login data. I don't want to create any insert, update and delete commands. Then finish. So if you notice here, we have this login table adapter with get login data where I will pass a parameter user, and it's going to return the login table data, which will have all the data in this login table. Now let me save this one. Now let's go back to our login page, and I want to write the command in the button click. So double click on the button. We are going to use the dataset. So using dataset company table adapters, and on the button I'm going to create two strings. One will store the username from the text user, and other string is going to store the password from the text password. And I'm going to create a object for the table adapter, for the login table adapter. So login table adapter, I'm just going to create a new login table adapter object, and we are going to call the function get login data, and we need to pass a parameter, the user, which is already stored in uname. and this is going to return the whole row if it successfully has, otherwise it returns null. So the data type for return would be dataset company dot login table data. So that's the user result that it returns for us. So if the user found, it's going to return the row that contains the user details. If it does not have any user, then it will return nothing. So I want to do a condition. If the results rows count, so this will give us the number of rows that has written. So if the result rows is 0, that means it doesn't return any value. There is no such user. So if there is no such user, or if the user results password does not match with the password that user entered, so the first condition I check is if it does not return any rows, that means there is no such user. If it returns a row, I check whether the password does not match with the password entered by the user. So if any one of these condition is true, it means it doesn't return any row or the password does not match, that means we are not going to allow them to log in. So in the error message label, I'm going to display a message invalid login details. We are going to return this function. If they successfully logged in, if they have successfully logged in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the response.redirect to redirect from this page, the login page, to home page. That is default ASPX. So let me save this one and let's try to run the page and see. So that's going to be our home page. When I press the login, it asks for the username and password. Let me enter the username as Andy111 and password 1111. Login. So I got the invalid login details because we don't have a user called Andy111. Let's enter Andy100 and password I enter is 1234 and login. Still I get invalid login details because the password does not match. Let me give 1122, which is the right password, and login. Now you can see it moved to default.aspx. Now if you notice, I have this guest here. Once the user has successfully logged in, I want his username to be displayed here. Welcome Andy100 or, and you see there is login. Login should be displayed as logout. I don't want login anyway because he is already successfully logged in. So once he successfully logged in, I need to change this to logout and change the name to this. So what we are going to do is, what we're doing is, when the user is successfully logged in, before I will redirect to the default.aspx, I want to store the username to a shared memory. So we are going to use session here. A session, you can create a session in the website that will be activated throughout the website. That means we create a session in one page, you can access it in another page. So we are going to create a session and we create a variable as user, which is equals to the username. Username is under our user results row 0 dot username. So this will store the username to, and in our home page, open the default.cs. When you see the page load is the when the page is loaded. So I'm going to check. Now one thing I want to do here is open the default. The guest here, I want to change it to different values. When the user is not logged in, this will be guest. If the user is successfully logged in, this will be the username of the user. So it's going to vary. So instead of having a constant value guest, I'm going to create a label over there, and let us change the ID of the label to LBL user and change the text to empty. So in the login, in the default, when the page is loaded, I'm going to call the LBL text to guest, and I'm going to do a condition. If the variable session user is not equal to null, that means there is something in the user have successfully logged in. If we have successfully logged in, then I'm going to change the label to session user, whatever value in the session user, convert to string and display in the label. So if he not successfully logged in, it will be guest. If he successfully log in, then it will be changed to the given username. So let's run and see this. So now you can see welcome guest because the user have not logged in yet. I press login. So Ali 2000 and password is 1234 and press login. Now you can see welcome Ali 2000. Yes, this is working perfectly, but we can see here the login has not changed to logout, so we need to fix that. So you want to change the login to logout if the user is not successfully. So now this is going to be happen throughout the website. So instead of writing it in the home page, I'm going to write the code in the master page. So whatever you code write in the master page should be same in all the pages. So here I'm going to set the hyperlink login text to login by default, and the hyperlink login dot navigation URL I'm going to navigate to login dot aspx file. If the user have successfully logged in, that means if the user is not equal to null, so if the user have successfully logged in, I'm going to change the text to logout. Let's say this one. Let's run the code. So initially it is welcome guest and login. When I click on the login, and let me enter the details of Ali 2000, you can see it becomes Ali 2000, and here it changed to logout. But when I click on the logout, nothing is going to happen. It's again going to the login, and still it is not logged out because we have not done anything on the logout code. So if this is logout, I don't want it to navigate to login page. Instead, we are going to navigate to a new page. But that we are going to create, which is going to call it as logout.aspx. So let's create a logout page. As usual, go to the master page and add a content page. This you can create a content page or a web form, anything, because it's not going to show to the user. I am not going to do any changes here. Just rename the file to, instead of default, I'm going to call this as logout.aspx, and open the CS file on page load. So when it moved to the logout page, I want to clear the session. So whatever session variables we created, we are going to clear them, and I'm going to redirect our page back to default.aspx. Let me save this one. Let me save the logout and open the home page. Now initially it's welcome guest and it's login. So once I click login and type the username and password and press login, you should see welcome username here instead of guest, and it changed to logout. When I click logout, it go back to login and this becomes welcome guest. Now let's fix this edit. When the user is not logged in, you should not see the edit button. Only after I successfully log in, I will be able to see the edit. And when I click on the edit, it should open the user details where you can edit his details and save it, update it. So let me close this. So initially, I don't want to show the edit menu. So in the master code, at the beginning, what I'm going to do is hyperlink edit dot visible, I'll make it as false. So user will not be able to see the edit menu. Once he successfully logged in, only then he should be able to see the edit menu. So edit visible equal to true if he successfully logged in. Now let's go and check the output. So if you see here, we have only two menus, home and login. We don't see the edit. So it's welcome guest. When I click on the login, now let me put Andy 100 1122 and press login. So when he successfully log in, you can see the name is changed. It changed to logout, and we can see the edit menu. And if you click on the logout, name goes to guest and you cannot see the edit anymore. Let me close this. Edit. Now in the edit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the details of the given user. And if you look at this login page has a ID, and employee also have a ID. So I can use this ID to open the employee details and edit these details. So we already have a table adapter for employee that will update, delete and edit the employee details. Let me create a new table adapter. I'm going to connect with the same TP and same connection, and let's add employee this time. I want all the values. So let me create ID, employee ID, first name, last name, hiring date, salary and department ID, and I want to match it with the given ID from the user and press OK. Next, I don't want the file, I want to return the employee data by ID, and I want to create the update methods. So let me finish. So it has created a new table adapter, but this time previously it was employee. Here it is get employee by ID. Now let's go open the edit. So here we are going to add a data control. This data control is called as a grid view. So let me just drag and drop the grid view here, and I'm going to start to create a new data source. So this is going to be an object, and this is going to come from the employee one table adapter, which just now we have created, and we are copying the ID here, and the source of the parameter is from the session variable. I'm going to call the variable as ID. I don't want any default value, so this is going to be session ID. And here you have a list of options what you can do with this in this table. So I'm going to enable the editing, so you can see a column for editing, and if you want to hide and show some of the values, you can go and change it in the edit columns. So let's say I don't want the ID to be visible, so I can remove it. So I want only employee ID, first name, last name, hiring, salary, and department ID. Let's say I don't want him to change the department ID, so and also the employee ID. Okay, so you can see only his first name, last name, hiring date, and salary. Nothing else you can modify. So if you click on this delete, you should be able to delete the data, but I don't want them to delete the data, only edit. So let me say this one, and when the user successfully log in, I want to create another session variable that will store the ID of the user. So this ID we will be using in the edit user table. So this ID will be passed, and it should return the row which contains this ID. So let me run and show. So initially we don't have any data. I will log in as Andy100 login. So I can see edit. When I click on the edit, you should see the details of the Andy, and when I click on the edit, you should be able to edit. So and update. So this will change the last name to John, and I can log out. So close this, and if I go back to our employee table and view the data of this table, we can see the Andy. Let me refresh the page. Andy John. Yes. So that's how you can create a master page and a details page, create a login, show and hide the menu, change the menu name, and do a different things like login, logout, toggle menus. Thank you.